I'm in Santiago to see how things are now in Chile after the severe earthquake. It seems things have returned to normal, but only at first glance. I've learned that in the Maula and Biobío regions, thousands are still waiting for help. And I read that the Chilean Mountaineering Club is collecting donations for earthquake victims. I go to the club's headquarters, where volunteers are helping out. They plan to go to the Maula region today. Along with food and clothing, they're also taking water, 1,500 liters. I decide to go with them. The mountaineers have decided to take action themselves, since ONEMI, Chile's most important aid organization, is overwhelmed. Hernán Donoso is the Mountaineering Club's president. He's not sure what to expect on this trip. He says he can't imagine what the situation there will be like. It could be easy to help, but the situation could also get difficult. It's possible people are still buried under rubble, or the club could get into trouble with the local police. He simply doesn't know, he says. But the important thing is to keep a cool head and steady nerves. We set off southward in a convoy. The effects of the earthquake are plainly visible. Hernán says he's experienced several quakes in Chile in 1985, 1971, and 1960. But he has the feeling this one was the strongest. He goes on to explain that most of the people on this trip are mountain climbers, people who know first aid. Many have taken part in rescue efforts in the past. He admits that mountain rescue is something different. But at least they know how to handle climbing ropes and know how to help injured people. After driving 200 kilometers to the south, we reach Lolol, a village of 7,000 inhabitants. The earthquake killed 7 people here and destroyed 90% of the houses. The picture is the same in the surrounding communities. No help has arrived here yet. The people are still waiting. So the arrival of volunteers causes quite a stir. Everyone wants to talk to us. And most ask for some kind of aid. Mountaineer René Núñez says the people here need emotional support. They've lost everything and are still in a state of shock. They're on the street, having lost their homes. René asks me to accompany him. When he signed up as a volunteer, he didn't know he was going to be where his own family experienced the earthquake. René was in Santiago at the time. He explains that this is his family's summer house in this village, where his mother, grandmother, brother, and nephew were spending the night when the quake struck. He points out the now destroyed kitchen. When he heard the news, he didn't know if his family was all right. He got a phone call from a neighbor around 9 p.m. saying everyone was safe, but that the house was completely destroyed. He says he's happy to be able to help here because he knows that many have lost everything. He points to his house, saying he has happy memories of childhood here, having spent every summer at the house for the first 15 years of his life.
donde veraneé los primeros 15 años de mi vida.
But he knows the year-round residents need much more than his family does.
Me da pena, me da mucha pena, pero creo también que la gente necesita más ayuda que nosotros.
We decide to set up our base camp in Lolol. From here, we'll help in neighboring villages. We'd meant to go to the coast, but it's clear we're needed here. Most of the houses here are mud-walled, and few of them are inhabitable now. People have to sleep in hastily erected provisional buildings, like Maria and Oma Canal. These are statues from the local church. The priest asks us to help. Carlos Toro tells me the church was built in 1915, meaning it has experienced and survived many earthquakes. But the church is in terrible condition. Armed with helmets and shovels, the volunteers start removing the rubble. And it gradually becomes clear just what kind of aid is needed. Food and water, of course. The quake contaminated the well here. But mainly, people are needed for the hands-on work of cleanup and rebuilding. For instance, the village's tiled roofs are damaged. In principle, only authentic materials are allowed to be used for repairs. But with the earthquake, concessions have to be made. Safety is the priority. Renee explains that the government has forbidden the use of this type of tile. Renee takes me to meet someone who knows the history of the region, and now needs help too. Jorge Rojas, a teacher, is in charge of the town museum, now in ruins. Jorge says that his first reaction after the earthquake was relief that his family was safe. But then he worried about the museum, which is also very important to him. He says the exhibits are very valuable. Only a few things can be recovered. While we help Jorge in the museum, a small treasure is found, an arrowhead from before the Spanish conquest. Jorge says he's already found one and is very moved that we found another one. He's overjoyed because he was certain this exhibition piece had been lost forever. Passing cars stop in Lolol and people offer their help. But they don't know exactly what they can do or where their support is needed. So the mountaineers decide to take over coordinating aid for Lolol and the surrounding area. Hernan Donoso says they're getting support from many other Chileans. Everyone is helping to clear away rubble. But his group is doing all the organizing and has to find the people in need. But he says they seem to have it all under control, and it's working well. Finally, as night falls, government help arrives. I was impressed by how quickly the mountaineers were able to get organized. They have started a task that will take months, if not years, to complete.